it has now been almost 4 years since Nvidia released a refresh for the Shield and for the Shield Pro streaming devices. In fact, the last time was back in 2019. So why hasn't Nvidia released a new version of the Shield and the Shield Pro? On today's video, I'll try to answer that question. The Nvidia Shield Pro is the best streaming device out there, in my opinion, especially if you run your own Plex server and you need it to play 4K HDR movies. It can also play Dolby Vision Atmos and can upscale content with pretty amazing results. It also supports your favorite apps like Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, Netflix, etc. But if you're here, you already know that. It can also function as a Plex server directly on the Shield, or you can just run the client application. Personally, I run the Plex server directly on my network attached storage, and I use the Shield just for the Plex application, and I do direct play of 4K content. Now, there have been many hardware improvements to technology since the last refresh. For example, there's new things such as HDMI 2.1 that can do over 50 frames a second, newer CPUs, faster memory, and the price of large SSDs is at an all-time low. All of this should make it possible for Nvidia to give us a new version. So what's holding them back? In order for us to answer that question, we have to look at the history of the Nvidia Shield. The Nvidia Shield was released back in May 2015, and it was initially advertised as a gaming console that could play downloaded games, and it could also stream games. In addition to that, it could also play 4K videos and had some streaming apps, similar to what a PS5 console does now. However, it has now evolved to where it's mainly a streaming device. In fact, in February 2023, Nvidia is officially shutting down GameStream, which allowed you to stream games from your gaming PC and allow you to play on the Shield. You can still use Steam Link, which does the same thing, but with all the Steam game library. So does this mean the Nvidia Shield will also soon be discontinued? That's definitely a possibility, since it was meant for gaming initially, and now with the shutdown of GameSteam, it might look like that. However, as mentioned at the beginning of the video, there's a big following because of its video streaming capabilities. However, even with that following, we still have to analyze things from the business side of things for Nvidia. After all these companies have these products out there to make a profit. While Nvidia does not release sales for its Shield devices, we have to see how much control they have over the streaming device market. According to Park Associates, for the third quarter of 2022, Roku and Amazon devices control 80% of the streaming hardware market. The rest is still not in full control by Nvidia. Apple and Google devices take a huge chunk of the rest. That's not a good sign, but we have to remember that the Shield devices were initially launched as gaming devices. So since they control such a small section of the streaming market, does this mean that Nvidia is not making money from the Shield? Well, not really. People were still all over slick deals grabbing these devices over this past Christmas, and it kind of makes sense why Nvidia hasn't refreshed it. It's still the best performing device for 4K streaming, and that 2019 hardware is now even cheaper, which gives Nvidia more profits. Sooner or later, it will be extremely outdated and Nvidia will not have a choice but to shut it down and end our hopes, or shut it down and release a brand new, more dedicated device for streaming as its main focus. It could be redesigned and marketed towards just streaming. After all, it has to compete with other devices in the price range of $30 to $60, while its users want fast hardware that is $200 to $600. If we review the release dates of the Shield, the release dates were 2015, 2017, and 2019. It didn't help with the pandemic chip shortages that we didn't get a refresh again in 2021, since according to their previous schedule, that would have been the year for a refresh. It's now 40 years since the last refresh, and I see 2023 as a year where we will get a new version, or sadly, our beloved Shield gets discontinued. Let's hope Nvidia does refresh it, or that we get a completely new badass version that we all desperately want.